My dream's pretty fast. It's an odd little story. Odd little stories are pretty loud, actually, and actually easier to remember. That's probably why they're odd little stories. They're kind of stories that you tend to want to even forget, as if you think, oh, goodness, they are. So I have traveled into the eastern part of Montana and arrived at a remote area where there is not much contact with civilization. People who live out here are very conservative. They are far away from normal life, in other words, the life of the city and usual environment. In other words, it's not a great mixing pot. People are too isolated. Such isolation can lead to a lot of false impressions about how things are, because there is not the opportunity to sort things out and grow like there is in a mix of a lot of people. And as a consequence, such isolations leads to an imbalance because the consciousness is not provided the opportunity to develop. So I've traveled out here and I meet a woman and we go off in the distance together. We're taking a walk out into the field away from the normal, small, isolated farm environment or whatever it is. In such an isolated area, nothing happens without everyone aware, which is both a protection and a problem. I go off on an excursion with the woman. I'm able to tell that the father has imagined the worst. He has called the authorities. When we return, the ranch hands and her father, plus another person who has a certain authority about him, is there. Before we have gotten back to where they are, in other words, we can see all this in the distance as we're returning, the authority figure says to the father to let him handle this because he's saying they look too casual and easygoing for one to just straight away jump into some sort of foregone conclusion. As we arrive, the daughter, of course, is aware of the mentality that has gone rampant and says to her father, at least you waited and didn't go off completely on a tangent without obtaining my side of the story. Nothing could have happened without my permission. To that you can rest assured. So the meaning is everyone thinks the creation is being raped and plundered at will. That is because there has been a jumping to conclusions based upon appearances and imagination. Such an attitude has magnified that which appears to be a problem into a foregone conclusion. That is a perspective which is closed off from the whole. The concept of self-discipline has gotten lost. People imagine what they think they see, and in their imagination arrive at conclusions based upon appearances without fact. Rarely does anyone take the time to realize that everything that happens in creation is by design. It's easier to place blame. And that is why there is such a problem in creation. No one has any faith and trust anymore. This leads to a world of false accusation, fear, distrust, and isolationism. Creation is excluded from the big picture. No one knows the real story. Nothing in creation can happen without the feminine being included and the unfoldment being part of a divine plan. God is everywhere, yet people seem to have forgotten this truth and gone off on personal tangents. The point is, nothing is as it appears. Because of a lack of sight, the imagination is lost in the ideas of power and control. The conclusions reached from this perspective are incapable of embracing the big picture. As a result, the world is deemed to be in dire straits, as if it is actually possible to destroy that which is real. In other words, that the world has something in it that is real. Maybe we don't know what that is, and that it could get destroyed. It is as if no one is able to look into the depths of the human heart to see that everything that is unfolding, as dire as it looks outwardly, is not what it seems. Just like energy is not created or destroyed, it simply changes form. That is what is taking place in creation. And deep down in the heart of hearts, what is unfolding is preordained. The problem is that no man can see or appreciate that because he has gotten lost in the appearances and in his limited perception faculties. Creation knows better. She isn't as helpless as she appears. Permission for change to occur has been given. There can be no other way. Everything is interconnected. A human being who identifies with the outer appearances has thrown away this memo.